So you're thinking of moving to or living in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and you're thinking, is it going to meet my needs? What's it going to be like? What's the vibe and the flavor there? I did that years ago from Seattle as a retired police officer, moving to Colorado, having never been here before, and I needed to know and have a video just like this to tell me what it was going to be like and how to compare from wherever I'm coming from. That's what we're going to cover today, the 10 pros and cons, contrasting good and bad, of living in Colorado Springs, Colorado. I connect with people just like you every day to help them discover where to live and invest in real estate and sell property for top dollar when the time is just right. My name is Leif Jacobson. I'm an ex-cop turned realtor, also known as Safe Leif. If you're new to this channel, subscribe so you're first to learn about all things Colorado real estate. Hey, I would love to connect with you. My contact information is below, and I would love to hear from you. Please shoot me a text, call, or email after this video, or you can book a calendar event and I will reach out to you, whatever works best. So let's get into it today. The first pro of living in Colorado Springs compared to a lot of cities around the country is it's one of the fastest growing cities in the United States. It was in the top 3, now it's the 25th fastest growing city in the United States. The opposing cons are that what goes with the fastest growing cities because of supply and demand in this wonderful country we live in is cost of living, cost of real estate, and cost of healthcare. The cost of healthcare nationally, but there's also world-class healthcare right in Colorado Springs. Multiple hospitals have gone up in the last few years, and there's lots of incredible resources there. So, like I say, it's 25th fastest growing right at the moment as far as the fastest growing city in the United States. It's the 9th best place to live and start a small business in the United States, according to Wallet Hub. Colorado Springs houses over 35 Fortune 500 companies, including Progressive Insurance, Amazon, FedEx, lots of big entities. Oracle is here as well. There are multiple colleges and lots of great entertainment and great education opportunities. Military outposts. There's an airport in town, which is fabulous. I'll talk a little bit about that later. And there's lots of things that are happening in growth mode to stimulate local economy and tremendous growth in real estate as well. Pikes Peak region's businesses are diverse. The key industries include healthcare, manufacturing, aerospace, Department of Defense, IT, and cybersecurity. There are 5 military bases in Colorado Springs, which is the only city I'm aware of, I think, that has 5 military bases. 145% increase in property value over the last 5 years. So, like I say, if you already own property here, that's great. If you're looking to buy property, that can be a little tough because prices have gone way up. There's no questions over the last few years. It's one of the top 10 best places to live in the United States. It's voted one of the best places to live in the U.S. and a popular destination for relocation and travelers alike. Hospitals are some of the best in the state and some of the best in the country, is my understanding. The military provides economic security for the area, and there's great quality of living and amenities for locals. And locals love being outdoors in general and doing outdoor activities. It's right at the base of Pikes Peak, right at the base of the Rocky Mountains, and what's called the Front Range of the Rocky Mountains. There's lots of stuff to do outside and lots of rooting opportunities. One con due to the heavy growth is the heavy traffic and not a great design of traffic. Cities that have, circumnavigating fairways that go through the city rather than everything going right through the middle are better. Unfortunately, Colorado Springs Highway 25, it goes right through north-south and goes right through the middle of Colorado Springs. There's a couple highways that'll take you around a little bit, but it's a little clunky. The connectors are a little funky, and unfortunately, there's no way as Colorado Springs grows over the next few years. It's supposed to have more population than Denver within 15 or 20 years from now. So it's on a massive growth curve, and the freeway goes right through the middle of town, and there's no great way or efficient way to circumnavigate that. I've heard of talk and plans to change that, but man, that's a big deal to change infrastructure like that. So one negative is for future congestion, with the freeway going right through the middle of town, it's just a natural bottleneck, just by nature. The second pro to living in Colorado Springs is that it's bright and sunny. We have over 330 days of sunshine per year. Many people have said it has more sunshine than Southern California. It's not quite as warm, but it has more days of sunshine than Southern California. So the good and bad is that it's dry and sunny almost all the time. And the bad news is it's dry and sunny almost all the time as well, because some people struggle with that as far as the altitude. Air quality tends to be good, but it's thinner because it's closer to the sun. And let's see, average seasonal temperatures is what I was going to cite here in Colorado Springs. So let's go through the 4 different seasons. In the wintertime, low is 6 degrees in the winter. It can get down to 0 degrees, I've witnessed in the winter here, or even a few degrees below. That's uncommon. Usually it's in the single digits to teen digits. In the wintertime, we're kind of lows. 45 degrees Fahrenheit would be a high during the winter. In springtime, low would be 24 degrees Fahrenheit. High would be 79 or 80 degrees in the springtime. Summers are gorgeous in Colorado. There's no question. Lows would be 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Highs are 84 degrees. It's just right. It's not too hot. It's not too cold. Just right throughout the summertime. And then in the fall, things cool down a little bit as far as a low of 34 degrees Fahrenheit in general. And these are all averages, and a high of 74 degrees. So again, probably my favorite month all year long in Colorado Springs is September. The con, as opposing to those, is unpredictable weather, dry skin, and thin air, because obviously you're at 7,000 or 8,000 feet in kind of the greater Colorado Springs area. Depends whether you're downtown, on the north side of town, in the suburbs. You're 7,000 or 8,000 feet is where you're living. So there's no question that the weather is unpredictable. It can change minute to minute. So you never know what you're going to get. The third pro of living in Colorado Springs are that there are beautiful natural surroundings. Like I said, we're right at the base of Pikes Peak. There's no question. It's just a gorgeous area. When you're up further north or in Denver, you got to drive a long ways in order to get out to the mountains and get into the Rocky Mountains. Right in Colorado Springs, downtown is literally right at the base of Pikes Peak. And so it's right at the base of the mountains. There's indoor or outdoor recreational activities, incredible opportunities outside. There's fluctuating weather patterns, though, would be a con, kind of an opposing con. There's cold winters. There's no question it's a long, cold winter in Colorado. But when it's sunny, despite being cold, because it's not wet, it doesn't feel as cold when it's sunny outside. I grew up in the Seattle area where it's wet and drizzly most of the year. And there's no question when it's damp and wet and drizzly a lot of the time, even cold weather feels colder when it's a wet cold. But when it's a dry cold in Colorado, it can be 15 or 20 degrees, and I'll see people out in t-shirts outside because the sun's out and it doesn't feel quite as cold as it might have. There's also occasional hailstorms in Colorado. It's the one kind of natural disaster that we have here. We don't have tornadoes like Kansas. We don't have hurricanes like South and Florida. And we don't have earthquakes, like on the West Coast. But we do have hailstorms, and like golf ball size hail once in a while, and it causes damage to vehicles, causes damage to animals, causes damage to houses and buildings. So there's no question that the hailstorms is a kind of natural disaster you got to watch out for in Colorado. And there's not as many indoor activities to do in Colorado in general, because people are outside much of the time, which is great, and most people like that and love that lifestyle here. There aren't as many things to do inside. There's a few indoor entertainment ideas and pavilions and stuff to do inside, but not as many as a lot of cities I've seen, because people are outside all the time, which is wonderful. The fourth pro of Colorado Springs is a thriving job market with diverse industries in general, including Department of Defense. We talked about the 5 military bases that are in Colorado Springs. Healthcare and hospital, facilities going up all over the place, including a brand new hospital that just opened weeks ago. Some tech industry. There's plenty of tourism here, as it is a tourism destination for people to come visit, including the Air Force Academy is a big draw. Lots of people come and visit the academy and all the amenities they have. And almost every nonprofit in the world, it seems like, not literally, but it seems like, is based in Colorado Springs. It is a hub for nonprofits. There's over 4,000 nonprofit organizations in the greater Colorado Springs area. It's a huge, huge portion of the economy. So nearly 50,000 people are employed in nonprofits in Colorado Springs alone, and which those generate over $7 billion a year in revenue and have assets of over $20 billion. So there's huge resources here in nonprofits. If you're going to start a nonprofit, it just is natural to do that in Colorado Springs, because every other nonprofit in the country that I'm aware of practically seems to be based in Colorado Springs. One con, or the opposing side of that, is limited job opportunities outside of those industries. So depending on where you need to work in as far as an area or type of business, unless you're a remote worker, you may not be able to find employment. but we're not too far from Denver as far as commuting up to the tech center and the south side of Denver. So there's opportunities if you're willing to commute a little bit. But there can be some limited industries here as far as job market. The fifth pro of living in Colorado Springs is the cost of housing, which again, this depends on your basis of comparison. Totally depends where you're coming from. If you're coming from the West Coast, Northwest, California, things are super cheap in Colorado Springs. If you're coming from the Midwest, it can be a different story. But generally, Colorado Springs is only about 4% over the national average as far as cost of housing, which isn't too bad as far as cost of real estate. And compared to cities like Boulder and Denver, which are way higher, Colorado Springs is quite affordable. So one con would be the growing pains that come with rapid population growth. When you have a city that's growing this fast and infrastructure that's growing that fast, the increased traffic congestion and competition for housing can be super stiff, especially in those kind of mid ranges, 450, 500,000. It's very competitive range for housing, no question. The sixth thing that is a huge advantage in Colorado Springs is that we have an airport that's growing kind of in proportion, I believe, with the proportion of population growth in the city. So Southwest Airlines just opened up a hub to operate out of Colorado Springs Airport, which is fabulous to fly out of. I've never seen more than about 10 people in line for security at the Colorado Springs Airport. You whisk through, everything's done in minutes rather than hours. You have to go a ways up north, about an hour up north. So DIA, Denver International Airport, is within reach. It's about an hour north of Colorado Springs. So if you're doing a lot of international flying or connecting, you may want to be closer to Denver International Airport. So that may be a con for you if you're doing a ton of traveling. But Southwest has really good connections and all over. I also work in Florida as a broker, and Southwest has great connections to and from, usually through Texas, to and from Colorado Springs to Florida and the Southeast in general. So there's plenty of opportunity there and more and more growth all the time. And the airport is fabulous because it's just seamless and so fast to operate out of. The seventh pro of living in Colorado Springs is that there's a strong sense of community and patriotism here. Again, with all the military we have, it's a bit of a transient population because of military, but a pretty high level of patriotism and country pride in living in Colorado Springs. Relatively low crime rates compared to the national average, and friendly casual culture. We call it a big small city. So there's pushing 900,000 people population in El Paso County, which is the county that Colorado Springs is in. And it has some big city amenities as far as kind of, a mid-sized city, I guess, not compared to Denver or really large cities, New York, LA. But for a mid-sized city, pushing 1 million people and growing there very quickly, there's some pretty decent amenities. And it has the smaller town feel. It doesn't feel like a city that's pushing 1 million people. Well, the city itself is about 500,000, but county-wide, it's coming up on 1 million people within the next few years. But it doesn't feel like that, and there's a community, kind of a informal community sense of feel that I really like and appreciate in Colorado Springs. There are limited cultural and ethnic diversity opportunities in terms of demographics and experiences. There's not huge, ethnic or cultural diversity here, granted. The eighth pro in Colorado Springs is a pretty good variety of educational institutions, including reputable schools and higher education options. University of Colorado, Pikes Peak State College, several state colleges have locations here. And they're the most affordable. Pikes Peak State College is the most affordable state college in the entire state. So it's neat to have those resources here as affordable schooling options. One con or opposing side of that can be the challenges associated with finding affordable childcare and quality education options. So yes, we have incredible growth, but there's also the similar vibe, the growing pains that come with that. The ninth advantage of Colorado Springs as a pro, and this is kind of a unique one, is the growing food and craft beer scene. There are over 32 breweries in Colorado Springs with a focus on locally sourced products. So I've got lots of buddies that love beer and enjoy the beer scene, and there are tons of breweries in town and a good kind of vibe and culture there. One con or opposing to that is the limited availability of certain amenities and services compared to larger metropolitan areas. So here are the 9 things that are pros and opposing cons of living in or around Colorado Springs.